In this video, we're going to look at how to use the Rotate tool in Adobe Illustrator to create rotated elements to use in pattern design. As you can see, I already have drawn a number of elements on my artboard. These I drew either using the shape tool or the pen tool, and I've applied a fill or a stroke as appropriate. The Rotate tool is this little backward arrow tool. The hotkey for that tool is the letter R. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this off using the Tear Off tab that is on the right hand side of the tool panel. And that's going to give us our own little floating dock of tools. The tools in this pair are the Rotate tool, which is the one this video is about, and also the Reflect tool. So I have typed up a list of really good angles for you to use with the Rotate tool, along with the number of repeats that each of those tools offers to do a complete 360-degree radial element. Normally, when we think about rotating an element, we think of one of two things. One is that if we select the element and we put our cursor outside the bounding box, we get this little two-arrowed cursor that allows us to rotate the tool at any angle of our choosing. Also, the other option we have is to use Object. Go ahead and select that again. Use Object, Transform, and Rotate. Well, Object Transform Rotate is a great option. It brings up a dialog box. This is the same dialog box that we'll see with the Rotate tool. And I can put any angle in here. I'll go ahead and put 90. I have a preview box. This is a toggle. When I change the angle, if I check this off and then back on, it'll show me the rotation of that element. When I click OK, it will automatically rotate that element. Or if I choose Copy, it'll actually make a copy of the element at the rotated angle. This is going to be really helpful today as we're working on rotated elements. At this point in time, though, the rotation is always coming from the center of the bounding box, and it's entirely possible that that's not what I want. So that's where the Rotate tool comes in handy. I'm going to go ahead and click Cancel. And I'm going to click on the Rotate tool where we've pulled it out from the toolbox here. And what you'll notice is that I've zoomed in. We have this little crosshair, and this little crosshair is the thing that is going to allow us to make the rotation. So this little crosshair is our rotation point, reference point, and I'm going to click and drag it outside of zoom out of there. I'm going to go ahead and drag it outside of our element. And in this case, I'm going to drag it just a little bit below the element. And I'm going to hold down my Option key. And when I do that, I'm going to get the duplicate cursor. I'm going to go ahead and click once. And that's going to change my cursor now to the dialog box cursor. That cursor says, with the three little dots, means that the next time I click, I'll bring up a dialog box. So now I've brought up a dialog box. And notice my reference point is still outside of my element. And we're going to start with something easy. I'm going to put 60 degrees in. Notice on the chart, that's going to give me 6 copies of this element. And I'm going to go ahead and click Copy. And when I do that, Illustrator is going to make a second copy of the element that I'm working with. Now we're going to use my favorite of all options. It lives on the Object menu under Transform, and it's called Transform again. The thing about this is so great, is there's a hotkey. The hotkey is Control-D on a PC, it's Command-D on a Mac, and what that's going to do is make a copy of the thing I did last. So in this case, it was a rotation with the Copy option, and so if I continue to hit that a few more times, now I have a completely rotated element. So I'm going to take that one, we'll group it, move it out of the way a little bit. We're going to get the rotate tool and come work with this next piece. And I'm going to pull the little rotation angle. And if you don't get right on it, what happens is that that rotate tool works just like your cursor would without the rotate tool. So you want to make sure you're right on that reference point. And in this case, I'm going to put it down on this lower area, and I'm going to hold down my Option key and click again. There's my dialog box, and we'll do 60 degrees again. And I'm going to choose copy and Command D, and there I have another rotated element. The cool thing about the rotation tool is that I don't actually have to use it outside the element. I can just change the location inside the element of where the rotation is happening. So I'm going to zoom in so we can take a better look at this. I'm going to grab the rotate tool. There's our little center. I'm going to move it down right about there. And I'm going to hold the Option key, click twice. This time I'm going to choose 90 degrees, or I'm sorry, 40 degrees. That's going to give me 9 elements in the rotation. And so in this case, I'm going to end up with one side that has these long balls on the end, and the other side has a shorter piece. So this is kind of an interesting design. I'm going to go ahead and click copy and Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D. You can see here the elements are starting to overlap. Command D. And so in this case we get a double sort of star design, snowflake design there. And I'm going to zoom back out. And let's take a look at this line. This time I'm going to take our angle of rotation and I'm going to move it in here sort of toward the center, but out of the way of the element. And I'm going to hold the Option key, click twice. This time I'm going to use 36 degrees as the angle of rotation, so that's going to make 10 copies of this. I'm going to go ahead and click copy, Command D, over and over again. And now we have a cool sort of circular shape. Move this guy out of the way. I'm going to take this little one, I'm going to do a similar thing here. Get our rotate tool, and we'll move this way out of the way down here. And hold the Option key, click once, twice. The Alt key is the equivalent of the Option key on the PC. This time I'm going to use 12 degrees. This is going to give me 30 rotations of this in our pattern. And again, Command D or Control D just to duplicate those over and over again. I'm going to take this square that I've rotated now 45 degrees. Scooch this guy over a little bit, and I'm going to get the rotate tool, and this time I'm going to bring this reference point way down below it, and I'm going to hold the Option key, click twice. Again, that's the Alt key on a PC, and this time I'm going to do a 45 degree angle, so that's going to give me 8 rotations, and I'm going to use the copy, Command D. One thing about elements like this that can be kind of fun is I can then select all of these pieces and we'll group them. And I can make duplicates of that. Copy, paste it in front. This time I'm going to use the transform dialog box. We'll make it 1.5 inches, and let's rotate it 22.5 degrees, and when we do that it's going to rotate right in between those. So this is a way to use a couple of different techniques to get an even more interesting design very quickly. Let's come down here to this little curve. I drew this curve with the pen tool, and grab our rotate tool, put it right here. Hold the Option key, click twice, and this time I'm going to use a rotation of 18. Command or Control D over and over to duplicate the element, and there we have a cool little pinwheel. Let's take this star. For this star, I'm I'm going to grab the rotate tool. I'm going to put the rotation point way down here. Hold the Option key or the Alt key, click twice. And let's make the rotation this time 72 degrees, so that's going to give us 5 copies. There's a star design made of stars. Move those over, give ourselves a little bit of space to work with this last shape. This last shape is just a little arrow tool, the arrow shape that I drew with the pen tool. And for this one, I actually want to make a round shape that looks like it has a border. So I'm going to move this right about there. Hold the Option key or the Alt key, click twice. And this time I'm going to make the rotation 15 degrees, so that's going to give us 24 elements. And again, Command or Control D, over and over until we have the completed design. Accidentally hit the Alt key there. So there we are. That is how you're going to use the Rotate tool to create a rotated element for your designs.